Now, I do want to let y'all know that for this moment in time, I got a little video uploading to YouTube. It was the last one I recorded. It's going to be up there by the time this one goes up, but it is currently uploading as I record this one. So I would just like to share with you all that with these two angels and with that Mary and Joseph I just carved, if, after stopping the video, I kind of used a little bit of a lighter grit of sandpaper to kind of smooth them out. And I've been basically just using 120 and 240 just for the types of sandpapers I've used to do this. So we're going to kind of go a little further along with this, and I'm going to demonstrate again on this other Mary and Joseph figure as I continue this video. This is part 2 of the sanding videos, and like I said, eventually we'll work on the manger, eventually we'll work on baby Jesus, eventually we'll work on the wings of the angels. So these are the things I'm recording for now. Decided I'd record a little video just to kind of celebrate that I got good news this afternoon as I went in to see the surgeon just to see what was going to happen. And like I said in the last video, the news was all good, so we've all got good things taken care of. Sometimes I feel a little unfortunate for some of my friends who have had little things happen in the past. And of course, this surgeon, he asked me if I've had surgery before. I told him I have. I told him that I had oral surgery to move my wisdom teeth, and I had surgery on my hand once for an accident on the saw. So as far as all this work comes along, I'd say I decided to celebrate with a little video here. And just like there's been all these newscasters who've told all these funny stories over the years, sometimes I like to share them while I'm working here in the shop. I mean, it'll be kind of different when I go working at my jobs, because, you can't really be on camera while you're working a job because you kind of got stuff to take care of there. But as far as what I'm doing here is concerned, it's just a little work that requires a little attention and a little focus. So, I mean, it's just a lot of things that make us all seem good in ourselves and good for others and good for those around us. I mean, we just see that people are just enjoying life, enjoying the best of us, and that's what I try to come on here for, to try to be everybody's sunshine in their life. I mean, I tell you, I saw a little meme come up yesterday about young Weird Al, and it was about Weird Al when he was a baby. Of course, this isn't the truth, this was just a meme, but as far as the little meme was concerned, it was like the mother had Weird Al in his lap, rocking him to sleep and singing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." And it kind of happened that Weird Al was thinking in his mind, "You drank my moonshine, my only moonshine." Oh, I tell you, all this stuff we talk about these days, it's just a lot of stuff to be talking about around children, I've just heard a lot of stuff in the songs as I was a kid. Sometimes I listened to the country songs and couldn't always understand them well. They said a lot of stuff that was always just not the best thing for a kid the age I was to be hearing, but we kind of managed it well and took care of the things we needed to take care of. Sometimes, just sometimes, they're just little things in life that can sometimes be the kind of things that, when you're kind of a young kid, it's kind of different, but when you're an older person and know people who things really happen to, sometimes things like that can kind of give you a little depression. All the things I heard in those songs I listened to as a kid, I mean, my parents were about as old as I am now at the time, and they could always tell me that all that sad music just kind of gave them the depression, and I couldn't understand it being the kid I was, but some of those songs, I've looked back on them recently and learned what they were really saying, learned what the words to them really meant, and could start to see for myself how and why they were such as sad songs as they were. And then I told them that the other day, that came to realize it as I got older, and she said, well, yes, because we knew people who it really happened to. I know there's some things that have happened to me. There's been things I've experienced with women online in life. Sometimes with me, it's like the young people can sometimes have random conversations, and I hear all the things the young people talk about, and sometimes us older people have heard all kinds of worse stories than that online, and we think about all the worst stories we've heard, and from all the people we've read, and all the things we've seen, and sometimes I tell you, all the things that young kids can talk about can kind of be the kinds of things where some of us older seasoned people know that the conversations can hurt, know that the words can hurt, and I'll tell you this, young people often tell you about that phrase that says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words could never hurt me. But that was quite a far-fetched phrase to come up with, because in a way, yes, words really can hurt. And sometimes there's just a world we live in, and I tell you, I've had parents who say, and I've heard people say this before, they talk on their shows about how they grew up hearing the phrase from Bambi, the phrase that Thumper's father told him, the phrase that says, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say anything at all. We see that a lot of stuff happens. There's even some chat rooms on the internet I won't really go to, because I tell you, so much tasteless stuff gets said in those chat rooms. A lot of stuff that really goes to show that people just don't really control their words all that much. I hear all the conversations that go on in places. I learned from my experience that sometimes it's not good for an older man to be hanging out in a place where a lot of young girls are present. There's no telling what kind of intentions he could be suspected of having. So that's one of the things I believe the Lord protects me from, as he moves me from places and moves me around to different places and takes me on different journeys through life. Because I say that business is essential these days. The fact that I'm running one is what I think is the best thing for the community now. I believe that the community really needs it. Sometimes I think I'd probably like to be doing more of a job than I'm doing. Probably like to be making a little more income. Probably like to be making enough for a living, getting a retirement pension and things like that. But I'm in the place right now where I need to be, because I'm working at what I need to work at, doing what I need to be doing what I've been called by God to do. And I feel for me like this little business has been my calling lately. There were the younger years I used to record a lot of music, but never have been professional enough to make something that was of marketable quality. Had all the different things in mind, had all the different motives in mind, had different things I wanted to do, different places I wanted to go, different places I wanted to be. all the things I thought I could achieve. Probably because when I was younger, I was exposed to it. I saw young people in those days do it. I saw the adults when I was a younger lad doing all that stuff in Music City. But there were things where I learned that I couldn't be successful at everything. Nobody can. Sometimes the things we had practice at growing up are the things that where we get along better in life. I've carved a long time now. Say I've carved about 14 years here, and it's been an on and off time. Went to the guild meeting on Saturday and met a guy who works in that place called, I think it's Creation One or something like that, right behind Chuck E. Cheese in the Woodhill Plaza. I say that as for a little work we've got a long ways to go. And some people, they teach classes on what they do. They teach classes on their work. I've always got a lot to share as far as what I do is concerned, you know. Sometimes in our Woodcarve Guild meetings in the old days, when I was first going down there and learning my ways along, we'd have little talks about the Bible sometimes. And there was one little thing I mentioned out of the Bible. Probably said it in rather a preachy tone. I shouldn't have said it in. But there was one man who was there who could even make kind of mention of it, kind of narrow it down to the fact that according to the Bible, we've all fallen short. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So I say that sin is sin, no matter what it is. It's just some people think some gets worse than others, but there is no way to define it. We know that God places us on this earth for a reason. There are those we're called to minister to in times of darkness and in sadness, and we know that there are lives we must reach. I don't know who all watches my YouTube videos or follows me on here, but I'd say that there's probably a lot that goes on out there. I mean, sometimes I think it'd be nice to have a bigger community in here, have a bigger community in my social media, and all the things we're going to learn in life and experience in life. We're all going to know what's good for us, to be better for us, and make us better for the company we're in. I say that sometimes carving doesn't turn out the best it can be. It usually don't turn out perfect, but I'd say that we've got little work we can do and make it in our lives just for the better and for the easier. We know that there's just a lot of stuff that comes and goes in our lives, and I'm just working myself to the bone. I tell you, probably got down to my last little sip there. Have no more left in the fridge, but we have these little bottles, you know, we just fill them up with water and put them in the fridge so they'll be cold when it comes time to use them. Like it was at my show. I have these frozen water bottles that I keep in the freezer and carry them in my show in a cooler so they can kind of, the ice can melt gradually, and I can have those little water bottles to drink right out of whenever it just starts to melt. I will say we're working along on these. Sometimes it takes several pieces of sandpaper to kind of get these out to the best way they need to be. to give them kind of a rustic look. There is a thing where, like you've probably seen in the videos about the shepherds and the lambs, where I forget what that stuff is called, but it's just some kind of stain gel that we mix with mineral spirits, and it's what we use to finish the nativity. Now, when the original book called for you to carve them out of basswood, they would suggest that stuff, and they would suggest that you put a little bit of burnt sienna oil paint into it to put it on the basswood to kind of give it kind of a brown rustic look. But that is something where I don't fool with oil paints. They're a little too expensive and they don't wash out of your clothes easily, so I don't fool with them. And where they even suggested that in the book, I don't do that. So it might have been a little thing they suggested to make the basswood look a little better, but I don't carve my nativities from bass. I use butternut instead because it has so much better grain and it's just as soft as basswood. So I'd say for the work that comes along in this, there's just a little place here. I think we're going to have to sand a little more on that to try to get it down a little flatter, because it's a place where the carving part, the knife just kind of made a little chip that is hard to go away. But I got it now. I got it away, got it sanded up, got it all good, and I say that for all the work we're doing, we're going to take this a little bit of a better, longer way, and I say that this little time, we're going to work on this a little more, make it a little more fashionable and interesting, and make it a little thing where we see the light of all things, the light of all days, and all this work we're putting into things, I say that it should all in the end come out so much more smooth, because our work comes into it, our work goes out of it. We make the things seem like they are bright as new as day. I see little places that probably need a little tougher grit to be sanded away, and we're getting rid of those places as we speak. And I say that these little places are going to come and go, and we're making a little light at the end of the tunnel. We know that we see a light in all things. We see a light in glory. All things bright and beautiful, all things great and small. To God be the glory, great things he has done. We know we have praised the Lord today for all the goodness and his mercy and all the kindness he's shown us in life. And that's how today has gone so far. We got good news from the surgeon. We got good news about life. And of all things, we're about to finish working on this here. Take the little time out we need from it and bind it all together. And we say that in a little work or two, in a little ways or two, we're going to bind the souls of all those we cast out into the pit. And I say that it's all going to be good, all going to be working out now. I'd say we're going to probably take this last little thin grit. We've already gotten it on all these pieces here. And as for this video, we're going to wrap it up here. I think we're getting all these down to what they really and truly need to be, and finally get down to where we've just got it all down as smooth as it should be. And pretty soon it's going to be time to apply the finish, and to Mary and Joseph, that is, and carve the baby Jesus and carve the wings. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.